wireframe on shaded and also the ambient occlusion, but yet it still looks different from snapshot 7. See, snapshot 5 versus 7. See the shading here, here, and here, and here. Why is that? Before, then afterwards, and then afterwards after that. Before, like that. So you do see a difference. I mean, it did make a change because of adding this floor, right? Yeah, purely because of adding the floor. But now also, you won't see this harsh cutout. But now, it's still lacking this softer contact shadow, right? That contact shadow is made by adding a light source. So I'm gonna go R node, lights, area light. Here's my area light. This is here, R node, area light, shape. Press 4, you can see it here. I'm gonna just lift it up. Right, R node, area light, shape. I'm gonna press R for the scale to, and I'm gonna just yank on it so it's like pretty freaking big. Bigger the R node area light, the softer and more diffused the shadows will be. So I'm gonna press E as in Edward for the rotate tool. Then I'm gonna hold J as in Jacob. Hold J as in Jacob. I'm gonna carefully pull on the red rotational axis. See the red one? Up. There. You see this? This means that it's pointing down. And I know that's, oh, it's at minus 75. Should be, I thought I got it right. Minus 90. There. Minus 90. Because if I do space bar, right, you'll see this. See, it's perfectly there. And you can see the line pointing down. That tells me for sure it's pointing the right way. Well, I don't see the line going down for this, but I know it's pointing the right way because of this line. So from here, what I need to do is, well, let's do a render. You'll notice that I did not move the camera, right? Because I already have some renders going and I want to keep it there for a bit. If I do a render, right, Control U. Didn't do nothing. It did absolutely nothing. That's because the area light, it needs to pump up the exposure. So the intensity, don't mess with the intensity. I talked about this in class. You only mess with the exposure. If I set the exposure, I recommend setting the exposure to 4. Just trust me, you want to set it to 4. I did multiple test runs. Setting it to 4 will just turn things on. There you go. So before, after. And here's your contact shadow. But it's kind of harsh. I'm gonna hit the camera icon. And you can see the shadows over here. But it looks kind of distracting as well. These dark black colored wireframe lines are kind of distracting too. So I just want to fix those things. Now, what I can do is, first of all, let's look at let's look at this, right? The difference. This is too harsh, too high too high of a contrast, right? And my wireframe lines could be a little bit lighter shade of gray. Something like this lines. So I'm gonna, so we can see that. How do we change this? Well, first I wanna work on my shadows color. And the way you wanna approach that is, I mean, there's two ways to approach it. I recommend just working with the AI shadow matte. So here's the AI shadow matte, right? AI shadow matte. So basically the AI shadow matte shader, when you apply it to a floor, the specialty about the AI shadow matte is that it catches shadows like how it just did right now. It catches shadows, right? And you don't see the seam line, right? So the AI shadow matte that's capturing the shadow matte, I'm gonna change the shadow color from pure black, lighter shade of gray. Let's see what happens. Make sure you have this, save the snapshot, Control U. And there you have it. Before, after. And this is before when this here has the AI shadow matte but no light source, right? This is AI shadow matte with no light source. When I let go of it, this is the AI shadow matte with the light source and the shadow being a softer shade of gray, right? Compared to this. So I'm gonna save this, right? Before, too dark of a shadow. After, right? You can barely see it, but it's there, right? If I select this one, 7, see, no contact shadow. You can feel the contact shadow. No contact shadow, you can feel the contact shadow. So again, that was from because of grabbing the AI shadow matte, right, which is applied to the floor, right, which is now catching the shadow from the area light source, right, where I had exposure at 4. Trust me, you're gonna want this at 4, no more, no less. And then the AI shadow matte, we changed the shadow color to be a lighter shade, hence this. Whereas before it was this. Now it's this. And you don't see this. But you do see this. So that's what that is. If I want, I could give it a little bit more shadow color, you know. Again, AI shadow matte. Do not grab the area light and change the shadow color. Do not do that. Do not do that. Just grab the AI shadow matte shader and change its shadow color. Because this little specialty shader is the one capturing the shadow. You can change the shadow color of the area light. It will manipulate the color shadow, right? But the reason why I don't want that, I don't want you guys to do that, is that I don't want you to get confused with 2 different sources of changing a shadow color, and to keep it consolidated and consolidated to this, the AI shadow matte. If I make it a little bit darker, right, a little bit more contrast, if I do a render, let's see how it looks. There, you can see it's a little bit stronger. See, you can feel it more. I think that's just right. I like that. Before, after. And this is the original when the shadows are pure black. Pure black, much lighter, maybe too light, and then a little bit stronger. Light, a little bit stronger. Too strong. See, just right. Again, shadow color right around this range. Next thing I want to do is I want to show this. If I press this little checker box right here, this is the alpha mask. And this is for compositing, where this is the shadow being captured. This is for later on, but not for our class, right? But the whole point is that it has a cutout, alpha cutout. We don't want this, because if you have this cutout, what's going to happen is that it's going to render with this floor being punched out. Anything that's black is going to get punched out, and you're not going to see the floor when you bring into, like, say, Premiere or something. So what do? You just AI shadow mask shader, right? Just like that, so you only see this. If I click that, that will only frame this. Under shadows, you want to uncheck alpha mask. Uncheck this. This is absolutely critical. Uncheck it, and I'll show the difference. Control U to force a render. Like I said, do not do IPR. I repeat, do not do IPR. Let's see what happens, right? If I click on this, see, the alpha channel is gone. You won't get that cutout. Whereas, and I'm gonna save it. Snapshot 11. If I click on the alpha mask checker, right, it's pure white, so it's one solid image render. If I click on snapshot 10, where I had the alpha mask on, you see this. This is not what you want. This would destroy your render sequence, right? That's how you check it. This, good. Complete white is good. This, white and black, is no good. So uncheck, just uncheck. I have a feeling someone's gonna forget this. I know, I just know for a fact. So many times they forget to uncheck that. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Alright, next I'm gonna do a incremental save. After I do an incremental save, I want to work on the color of the lines a bit. Wireframe on shaded lines. I'm gonna click on AI Wireframe. I'm gonna click on the middle box icon so it frames it. AI Wireframe. Here. Line color. I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter. Instead of pure black, I just made it a little bit lighter, like over here. Let's see what happens. Control U. There. Before, after. Before, after. So I like that. Before, after, just right. Delete, delete. Alright, so before, after. So that's pretty much almost everything, right? There's one last thing. So that's like what, 40 minutes? The last thing I want to talk about is the quality of the shadows, where this already looks pretty darn nice, but it can be nicer. Nicer in the sense of the contact shadows. So I'm going to show the example. The AI wireframe, which I have the ambient occlusion plugged into the AI wireframe's fill color. You see the arrow. I'm going to select on the AI ambient occlusion. The AI ambient occlusion, which makes these contact shadows, which it may look clean, right? But there's a small touch-up I can do. Select the ambient occlusion node, ambient occlusion. I'm going to set the samples, right? I'm going to set the samples to, before it was at 3, I'm going to set it to 8. 8 samples. That means that the contact shadows is going to look crisper. So I'm going to do a render. Control U. And the render increase is marginal. So instead of 2 seconds, it is now 3 seconds. And I'm going to zoom in. So this is before. Wait a minute. Oh, I forgot to save it. Wait a minute. Oh no, yeah, wait. This before, after, and okay, good. Alright. Zoom in. Shit. Zoom in. Okay, so damn it. So this, right? This. So before, after. Before. So it cleans it up ever so slightly. Okay. Before, after. For some of you, it may look like, what's the big deal? But if I zoom here, before it's kind of muddy, after slightly more cleaner. See? Kind of noisy. This is what they call noise. Cleaner. Before, after. So that's what that does, and that's what I wanted to show. Again, that's under your ambient occlusion. Set the samples to 8. Previously it was set to what? Was it 6 or was it 3? I think it was 3, and now it's 8. And then you're fine. Okay, next. So that's set up. Everything is set up. Alright, so the very last part is where to set up the renders turntable. I'm gonna close this. Right. What I need to do is, let me first set up the camera. I'm going to select the camera, which is the perspective camera. Right. I'm going to go to the channel box. I'm going to set the translate X to 0. That way it's right down the middle. I'm going to change the rotate X to 0. I'm going to change the rotate Y to 0. Just purely just right. Zeroed out all of that. I'm going to leave the translate Y, translate Z, those I'm going to leave alone. Alright. And then from there, I'm gonna just do a test render, see if I like it. Control U. 3 seconds, very short. And I'm okay with this. It could be, I'm looking at this and this looks about right. Maybe I could lower it a little bit more on the Y. Do I increase the number or do I decrease? If I decrease the number, let's see, no, 14. Higher the number means lower it's gonna go. So it went from 13 point something to 14. So if I do a render, okay, good. Just lower, just right. By increasing the on the Y, that will inversely make it lower the camera. So that's good. So I like this. I'm gonna delete everything else. Save that. I'm going to save a render, save the scene, Control Alt S for incremental save. I'm gonna grab the camera, you could grab it from here, or you could grab it from here. That's my perspective camera. I'm gonna lock it so I don't move it, which is this icon, where there's a camera and a lock icon together. And see how this is all locked out, grayed out. When I click on this, this is highlighted. So I lock that out. Next, what I want to do is I need to check some settings. I need to go into my preferences. So the way I can quickly go to my preferences is to hover over the cube icon, the compass. I'm going to right click and choose preferences. From there, I need to go under time slider. This needs to be time slider 24 frames per second. I want my playback start and end in set 1, right? And then set this to 1 second. So in here, playback start end, I want it to be 1 and 47 or 48. Right, so now I want my play animation start end, which is basically the slider, right? Overall slider, right? That you can stretch or condense. It's up to 200, but I want my slider, which is this, set to also 48. So it's tight at 48. And then super important, playback. Set the playback to 24 frames per second times 1. So that means the speed of the playback is at 24 frames per second. Do not have it at play every frame. Have it at 24 frames. Again, there's someone who is gonna forget to do this. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Please pay attention. Alright, so 24 frames, frame rate, absolutely critical, right? 24. Playback start end, 1 through 48, 1 through 48. I'm going to explain why 48. Playback speed, absolutely critical, 24 frames per second times 1. And then hit save. Alright, so that's good. Now I need to go back into my render settings. Let's clap it right here. Render settings. Now I need to go back to my comment tab, and I need to change some of these because I need to render out an image